Team Man, leading EMIY, served over 20,000 youth through speaking, coaching, and mentoring. He has inspired us for years. Welcome to EMIY TV Podcast with your host, Calvin T. Man.
Whoa. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. So glad that we could come on in. This is Fatherhood Unity Month. And we're between me and Mr. Scott, we're realizing that we're an hour apart because he's in Illinois. But we have been having some unbelievable conversations. Last week was just thoroughly through the roof for fathers. And we have a special guest that'll be coming in a few minutes. But man, I wish y'all could have heard Dr. David Pate on Wednesday. If you're not following us on Facebook, if you're not paying attention to what we're doing for the dads, you're missing a lot of information. I'm going to play a clip real quick from Dr. David Pate. I'm looking it up right now. Man, that's brother. And the young brother from California, DJ Inspires. When I tell you he had given us a real story. A real story where he was in full discussion about being in foster care till he was 18, aged out, and got a couple of masters. Right, this brother had an incredible story. So before Khalid Scott gets on and we take it a step further, if you bear with me 1 second, I'm really going to play this real quick. It's just a little brief message. Here we go. Hold on. Here we go. Come on. Here we go. Come on. Yeah. Y'all had no idea that music then woke up in me. Okay, here we go. Let me get to this little clip. Welcome to Daddy Talk. Right, the million heads everywhere.
Welcome to the second.
I'm gonna get on to this part.
Makes a father go away from his kids if they're in.
There's a lot of things that can unfortunately challenge a father to be actively engaged in his child's life. Some of it's policy. Some of the policies that are currently in place don't allow for fathers to be in the household, and so the father and mother may decide jointly, or he may decide is best for her because they both are low income. They don't have a whole lot of resources, so that makes it harder for her to receive the benefit because people don't. Some states just don't allow it. Even though I'm someone who studies policy, and so fathers can be in the same household. It depends on the state, and the mother could still get the benefit, but it depends on the state and how they set the income levels. But the other reason is that sometimes relationships are just not good. I think we all have had our share of good and bad relationships, and sometimes they start out really, not most times they start out really well, and then they don't stay in the space where you want them to stay. And then once you have a child, the one thing that I've noticed over time is that we don't recognize black men as fathers. We don't recognize black men as parents. And some of that is due to the issues that have been the foundation of what has been laid as that's mama's baby, daddy's maybe. I know you guys have heard that song or that theme. And the truth is, yeah, we do know it's mommy's baby because the baby comes out of her and you can see it, but we don't know who the father is, even though people know. So it's a really complicated, complex answer to it, but it varies from person to person. Now, the truth be known, the only study that's been done as recent as 2012 was a study from the federal government that proved the most involved fathers, no matter what their income level, is black men. Because black men will serve as the babysitter, for lack of a better word, they're the child care provider. If the mother's working, they will also serve as the provider when they have the money to be the provider. They will also serve as the school teacher. They'll braid the hair. The black fathers do much more parenting than white fathers do, or Latino fathers, or Native American. Black fathers are the most involved fathers, even though the media and others will not acknowledge the truth about the role of fathers. Now, true that somebody might say, well, my daddy's never been around. That may be true, but that's not all black fathers. And we can't just say all black men are not good fathers. All black men are this. Nobody's all anything. You have to look at each individual for what they present to their family and why they can present. But one of the biggest issues I have with the men is that they often feel they can't be that breadwinner. They can't be the main provider, and that they think that's the reason why they shouldn't be allowed or involved with their children.
So
that's heavy.
That's heavy, right? Yeah. And with that being said, just think about it. Just think about it, right? You gotta look at it from the standpoint that you have been conditioned. See, in his studies, he wasn't just saying it, he was saying all people didn't see us as fathers. It's a remarkable interview, right? It's some remarkable information in there that's just very, very powerful. Very powerful. And you can't get around what was being said, right? You just can't. Because, 30 years, this man has researched, studied, raised money, and researched all about the black male and the father and the child support system, right? And the mistreatment. This is what his whole life has been. Professor, Dr. David J. Pay, right? And so in that conversation, there were some very, very powerful messages. I just pulled that one, right? And I say all that to say, right, as we are progressing through Fatherhood Unity Month, there's been some jewels that you have missed, right? Here's another one, right, from Andre Nichols. Andre Nichols dropped one that, as we waiting on Khalid, Andre Nichols dropped one that also, right, and what he was saying was, let me see where we at. Here we go. Let me see right here.
Nothing that he speaks of in the form of it being good that I can't see in him. So very, very grateful for that, and then also to grow up in an era where community was the thing. Your coaches, the men in the neighborhood, at church, you know, you were like corrected if need be in a multiplicity of places by men, by men, you know. And so, you know, they say it takes a village.
You can let him in.
But not only is that true, but the village in itself has to be a place that just embodies that harmony and that togetherness. And I had that. And I think that all that extends itself to being a leader, because I grew up around servants.
So just listening to that, right? And what Andre was saying is, that's how you make leaders. So if we take that away, which we've taken it away, we don't even talk about it, right? It's just amazing to me. It's amazing to me.
He's here.
Brother Khalid Scott.
Good afternoon. Well, good evening, everybody.
Man, oh man. How you doing, brother?
His volume just went out.
Can you hear me?
There you go.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay. All right. How's
How you
everybody
doing?
doing this evening?
I'm
Good.
doing well.
Good. We just trying to get you in here, get you on the screen, so we can do our thing.
Okay.
So, Dr. Scott, we were just playing, Khalid, we were just playing some clips from the previous interviews, and getting into and getting your fatherhood story is our goal. So I'm glad you were able to get on. And if you can, right, introduce yourself to the people, and then and as we move forward, we'll get to pull in that information and get those solutions out of you. You know, we're just going to discuss fatherhood solutions. That's what we do. And you being a successful father, we just want to know how, where, when, why, and how, you know. So I really appreciate your time. So please share.
Okay. Wow. I
sure
got so
dope,
used
too.
to people reading off my bio, I forgot. Well, I'm a licensed clinical social worker, and I've worked for as a social worker for the last 28 years. And I'm working with children and families, senior citizens, homeless people, people with mental health issues, foster care systems, everything. And that is a role that I'm most proud of, but it's not my only role. And my number one role, which I tell everybody, and I say it to the top of the mountaintop, is being Anaya Scott's dad.
That's right.
And prior to having my daughter, you know, I had 11 god kids.
Wow.
So in my 20s, I had 11 godchildren who got me ready for when 8/21/02 at 12:36 a.m. came, and God gave me my greatest blessing.
Yeah. Yes, sir. I just got to tell you how sweet your shirt is. I love that shirt you're wearing.
Absolutely.
So, what is your father's story? How did your father, or the lack thereof, or where was your father in your life, and what did you learn?
Okay. Well, sadly to say, like a lot of African American young men, my father was not around. Okay. So I learned fatherhood through two powerful men on TV. And I think a whole lot of us know who these two men are. James Evans Sr. and Heathcliff Huxtable.
That's right.
Okay. It's funny, my mom had a long-term boyfriend, and he also, you know, I guess when I do a high insight, he taught me about some fatherhood things too as well. But, you know, not having my biological dad in my life, it really left a a long-lasting negative impression on me. But not having him around inadvertently did me the greatest favor and taught me the greatest lesson of my life, which was, if God ever blessed me to be married and have children, that my child or children would never, ever know one day of how I felt as an abandoned child. So for the last 18 and a half, going on 19 years, Anaya Scott has had the best of me, based on my father not being present. Okay?
Man. Yes, sir.
And then you add on top of that me working in foster care with DCFS, the Department of Children and Family Services. So imagine, gentlemen, I go to work for the last 28 years, and I have to work with abandoned, neglected, and abused children. I remember it was about 20 years ago, I had to take a little girl, 9-year-old little girl, to the hospital to have a rape kit done. So you can only imagine, gentlemen, what that did to me. Having to be there at the hospital with that baby.
Right.
And what it did was it reinforced my mindset that you have to protect children at any cost. At any cost. And I get so infuriated with men, and especially my brothers, black men, when we don't do what we're supposed to do.
Right.
I belong to a group on Facebook called Black Fathers, and it's a phenomenal group. And oftentimes the number one subject is child visitation and child support. And I hear so many men whine and cry about, I'm paying child support, but I haven't seen my child in 3 years. Now, most men who aren't educated to the system would hear that scenario and be like, wow, that trifling mother, that no good mother. But see, anytime you're paying child support, you get visits. One comes with the other. They're a couple.
Right.
Unless you have done something to say that the child will be at risk of harm with you. If
Right.
you're paying, if they're taking out money out of your check, you have a right to have visitations.
Yes.
For
Yes.
me, when I got divorced, Elisa Scott knew you were not taking Anaya nowhere, that I couldn't get to her within 15 minutes.
Right.
Also, when I divorced, I told my ex-wife, you will not bring another man over my child. God bless God, daddies, but my child wasn't going to have one. Where he at? No. Because, guys, again, when you work in a system where you see abused kids by mama's boyfriends or the new man in her life, I
Right.
wasn't going to have it.
Right. Yeah. You saw a lot. You saw a lot. You
Yes.
saw a lot, Dr. Scott. You know, and
That's a murder case.
yeah.
Yes.
Well, it very well could be, right? It very well could be. I'm very big on we must be protective of the words we use in situations as well, right? Because we can activate that devil by saying and predicting the wrong thing. Because the devil has a tendency to put you right in the position for you to execute exactly what you say. So you got to be real careful. Exactly like you said in the example that you had coming out of seeing the foster care system and doing those things. We deal with a number of men who have they got to fight. They got a different fight in that process, Brother Scott. Like we have men who have been accused of something, never did anything. Here in Michigan, she can take you to court 5 times. You know what I mean? Before the judge actually even believe you, right? So we didn't seen a lot of that. And I'm with you that we have to, and that's what we do. We fight better. We're fighting better. We're sharing the information and we're gaining access to our kids, which is what this is all about. Because our kids need us. Our children need the Father. As we have so what's the word, Dave? As we so have been absent, the absenteeism is not just directly because we wasn't showing, right? And so let's get into that process for, you CPS right here is Child Protective Services, those types of business, right? We see a lot of. I want to ask this question, and maybe you can answer it. How do you solve that problem, Brother Scott? Like the situation, because you're such a powerful father, right? And here you are. You just blew me away with the Godfather. 11 kids. So. You're teaching consistently. So there you go. 11 kids got fathering from you.
Yes.
What was that like?
I got 7.
Wow. What was that like?
I knew as a kid I wanted children because, see, I grew up as an only child.
Okay.
So when you grow up lonely and by yourself and feeling isolated and alienated, you're like, I can't control if my mom or my mom gives me a sibling. That's out of my control. But I can control what I do when I become an adult. And then what happened was I've always been that kind of old soul, even though I was young. So when I got out to high school, I went to the military so I could pay for my education.
Thank you.
And then I've always worked 2 jobs, and so my friends around me, when they were having their children, they was like, wait a minute, Khalid is kind, he loves kids, he makes money, and he ain't got no kids of his own. Hey, God, Daddy.
That's how it goes.
That's how it goes.
That's how it went. That's how it went. I mean, right. I was a best man at Southern Weddings.
Okay.
So that's how my friends view me. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it was an easy transition. And again, all of my God babies prepared me for Anaya.
Right.
And I tell you, my life began again on 8/21/02. I don't know what life looked before I had my kid. And I wish more men looked at their children like that. You know what I'm saying? And then for 18 years, I dedicated my life to my kids, guys. When I got divorced, my daughter was 10 years old. When I got divorced, I made a pledge to me and God that I was not going to get into another relationship until my daughter turned 18. Why? Let me tell you why. Because again, I have witnessed people who, when they get divorced or break up, I break up with the children as well.
That's another
I break
thing.
up with the children as well. I forget. I get my own kids. I get with Vanessa with her 5 kids, and I become their dad, and I forget my kid. That wasn't happening over here at the Scott house. That wasn't happening over here. And then also, too, when I was dating, I saw how women would get jealous of my relationship with my kid.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that was unbelievable to me. I thought women would love the idea of seeing a man who was devoted to his daughter.
No, sir.
No,
but
you don't want to be second to nobody, not even your child.
Not even
absolutely.
To themselves.
Plus you add, if they were fatherless. So think about it. A woman with a dad, she understands that concept that a girl needs her daddy. Right. But if you was a fatherless daughter, you're like, well, why are you giving her all your attention? Because it wasn't, her dad didn't give her the attention.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is impactful. And let me say thank you. I'm in this booth with 2 military guys as well. Yeah. So Dave is a lifer. To the right of me, and Bug, the producer, he's in here doing his thing.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's awesome. And so when you look at the 11. And you done came forward and see, you've seen a lot, brother. See,
yeah.
You've seen a lot working in that system, and that shapes a lot of your decisions. That shaped a lot of your decisions, because some people have never even looked inside of that. We did an interview last year with a father that adopted all the foster care kids he had, right? So he had he got a house full of 10 kids right now. Good man. You know what I mean? But
Okay.
you know what I mean? And the sound is similar, right? Because for you, where you come from is no excuse. So you're not giving that excuse, right? Because you come from the home, right? There was no dad, no kids. Now here you are, the dad, and you're protected. Because that was the same way I was with my older kid. His mom. I made the promise to her. There wouldn't be anyone. He wouldn't wake up in the house and there was a woman in the house with him unless we were married. So that was a promise that we made, and that's how, we cultivated a relationship. But let me ask you this question. What is the one problem where you are, besides the missing father? What's impeding the progress of more fathers being fathers in the area that you're in?
Do you mean parenting their children effectively?
Yes.
It's self-imposed.
Okay.
It's self-imposed.
Okay.
In that group I belong to, Black Fathers, a guy made a post, and his post was, guys, my child's mother is going to jail, and so I have to raise my daughter, who's 4 years old, by myself. How am I going to do it? And the men jumped on him. They said, brother, how many women have raised boys by themselves?
Right.
So you're going to really ask and so then we gave him our knowledge. We said, you have a mama, you have aunties, you got girl cousins, you got sisters, you got women who hopefully you'll be in a good relationship with. You have a tribe of women around you. Activate them.
Yep.
Activate them.
Yeah, that's great advice.
Go on YouTube and find out how to do your daughter's hair. I mean, when I got my daughter was 10. When I got divorced, I took her to the hair salon and I watched how the young lady did my daughter's hair. I went to Target, bought some ceramic flat irons, and I went to town with them.
I got a great story for you. My daughter, one day I put the so I was a barber, right? But I put the hot comb on the stove, right? So I took the hot comb, right, and we was having a great conversation. I took the hot comb, and I took the hot comb off. I didn't blow it or nothing, and I went to and I hit her, and I smelled the hair immediately. And I was like, oh, and she looked at me and she said, "You'll never do my hair again." She didn't overreact. She just looked up at me. She was like, "You'll never do my hair again," and she refused to let me touch her hair again. And she, it's just hilarious. Being a dad is fun, and so I really want to get into. Right, there's some very powerful statistics around what fathers are, and I tried to get your man on, right, and I'm still reaching out to him for Black fathers, and how he keeps that group so secure is beautiful. He doesn't allow, it's a safe space for men to just come in and get information. So he and I have talked several times, and talked about getting together several times. So it's always a good conversation. But let me ask you this, right? In your fathering, what is that one moment, right, where, just like I just told you, what is that one funny moment that you had with your daughter that she has never forgotten?
Okay. Let me take you on the door of my office right now, then that'll answer your question.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is called the Cosby room, the Huxtable room.
Okay.
Because in this room there's nothing but my trophies and her trophies, my certificates, her certificates, my degrees and diplomas and her diplomas.
Right.
So we sat in here when I was first putting together this room, and I said, Anaya, Daddy will never ask you to be excellent if I'm not excellent.
Right.
I will always role model what I expect from you. and
Right.
it has worked. When my daughter graduated from high school, she graduated number 3 out of 400 students. She's at Amherst College right now, full scholarship, and it's an $80,000 private school, number 2 liberal arts college in America. And her major is neuroscience, and she just left Saturday to work a paid internship in a laboratory. I cannot tell Anaya to be a doctor if I'm sitting around with just a GED.
That's right.
And that's not a put down, but what my statement means is that children watch your walk. They watch your walk every minute, especially girls with dads. You tell your daughter you got to be with men who treat you right, but they see you beat mom and beat girlfriend up, then what do you think the message that's going to be taken from them is? I remember one day, because my daughter looks like a model, okay? So
Right.
what happened was one of my, because I mentor too, I mentor about 10 guys. And one of my guys is ex-football player. So he was told Anaya, he was like, Anaya, you look like you might be a basketball or a football player's wife. So my daughter laughed at him. And she said, why would I marry a man who is predisposed to cheat or beat me? So we both looked at her. And I was like, Anaya. She said, Dad, and my mentee's name was Marcus. She said, Mr. Marcus, I didn't grow up seeing infidelity. So why would I marry a man who is prone to cheat? When she said that, it was over with. Because that meant she got the message. She got the program right. She graduated with honors. Because what that told me was my daughter has self-esteem. And with self-esteem, she can move mountains. Because me, you, and every fella listening to this podcast right now know if a woman has low self-esteem, she's apt to have anything happen to her.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I was not going to raise a broken black woman. I wasn't going to do it.
That's right. No, that's beautiful, right? Because it's funny. I'm thinking about my 17-year-old right now, and he is a very confident, mature young man. You know what I mean? And leader and everything. Like I was just talking to somebody about him earlier today. He's 17, working at Lefty's. He's a car designer. He struggled with school, but he's always been brilliant. I think that was because of the divorce with his parents. But already basically was running Lefty's. They then took him to another restaurant. He know what it costs to earn the franchise. And he's on top of that, and he's like, Dad, I think I can get at least 2. He said he gave him 1. He's just talking. I say, so what's your plans? He's like, after high school, I got to put it together. He said, but I really like cooking. I said, hey, if you the owner that's cooking, let me show you somebody that's doing it. So I showed him my man in Atlanta, Big Dave Cheesecake. He owned his. And he's doing very, very well, giving back to the community, doing it, and business owner and a dad. So you're right. The modeling is key, right? Because he is the 17-year-old is a giver. He's always been involved. He's been in business meetings since he was 4, and he's very, very articulate and confident. That's the key that you were just talking about. His confidence is very, very high. Right?
Yes.
Self-confidence is very, very high. So we're here. We're doing it. We're here with Khalid Scott, Brother Scott. Man, I always admire that positivity, that information, and how you do your thing. And so right now we're at a point where we want 3 solutions out of you for fathers. Right? You can pick the coldest 3, the worst, whatever you want to do. We want those 3 solutions that you would give a father today with explanation and all. This is your
Okay.
space.
Okay. 3 solutions on how to be the absolute best father you can to your children. Number 1, always appreciate that God blessed you with the greatest gift he can give any human being, children. Think about how many people want kids and don't have them. Think about people who have lost their children and wish they could turn the clock back. So every day you wake up and your child is here on this earth with you, praise God that he blessed you with that child. You know, my mom just got out of the hospital with COVID. So I've been over her house every day since last week she's got out. Think about if my mother never had me. Who would be there to help her?
Right.
Who would be there to help my mom if she didn't have me? And if she didn't treat me good as her child. Number 2, that's a perfect segue. Act like you know that you're blessed. Treat your children like you need them to take care of you when you get 60, 70, 80 years old.
Right.
It's a given you're over them. It's a given you bigger and you badder than them. But they still are they just little younger people. Show them how respect looks by giving it to them. Because if they get it from you, they will expect it from everybody else. Right? Number 3, nugget. Work on your relationship every day, all day. Educate yourself about parenting. Go and read books. Go and watch movies. Spend quality time with your children. Value their mother, even if you're divorced. My ex-wife is something else, but at the end of the day, she gave me the greatest gift that no other human being has ever given me. She gave me Anaya Scott. I watch her push that baby out of her with all the pain. So though we are not there with each other no more, I will always respect that she gave me the greatest gift. And I got to do 1 extra.
Hey, you can do 2 extra. You rolling.
Oh, okay. Value you as a person. Love you. Because if your children see how much you love you, how can they not learn to love themselves? Think about it. If your kids see you get up and go to work and clean yourself up and go to the gym and eat right and wash your car and wash your house and wash your clothes and pay your bills and have a budget, guess what? Those are legacies. It's going to follow them. My daughter, again, she went to Amherst Saturday morning.
Right.
She FaceTimed me. She was FaceTiming me as she was unpacking her bag and putting her clothes in the closet in the drawer and setting her room up. I said, Anaya, you just got to your room. She said, Daddy, you know where I get this from. I'm not going to feel settled if my room isn't clean, neat, and in order.
Right.
Where do you think she got that from? She didn't get it from my ex-wife. I can tell you that right now.
So before you do that,
she got it from me because of the role model.
Right, the modeling, right, and that's such a huge. We don't understand when people always want to, we always want to. We grandma, we want to be fast, and we granddad, and we want to be fast. We still, but you don't understand that limitation falls on the kid. I wanna pause right there, right, because I was having that conversation with my kids. Right, that very conversation you talk about, right? My daughter and my son, the 17-year-old I was just talking about, he showed up at work so much that he got the owner's number and the general manager's number. Like they were so impressed with the fact, and he show up, do the work, don't complain, walk out the door. And went to school every day, ain't getting the best grades, but although he could, you know what I mean? He one of them boys, Khalid, he one of them boys, man, that know he was brilliant. He tested in the top 10% that at one of the local Jesuit schools, top 10%, right? It blew him away, right? He reading, and at 10, he was reading high school level, junior year high school level, right? He just always been ahead of the game. And the divorce really, it fractured him. But he's always still fed the homeless. Cooked, like we did a pancake breakfast, Khalid. We did a pancake breakfast. There's people everywhere. And the chef didn't show up. He cooked for all them people, and they was going crazy. But like, who cooked these eggs?
You know, that's good stuff.
He cooked for all those people and didn't hesitate, right? And the thing that I've been trying to, really just point out to him, my daughter, and myself, they go to work every day because we modeled that in front of them. We go to work every day. Went to school every day. You got to go to school. You go to school. With me, it's jokes early in the morning. So you're going to laugh going into school. I want you to feel good about going in school. Right, and that you got a sense of personality, so when you hit the school door, everyone is drawn to you, and that personality. So yeah, okay. So go ahead. You can drop how many of you want to drop. This your show, brother.
Absolutely. Well, I can continue because there's so many. I mean, I've been featured in 3 books, wrote chapters in 3 books talking about fatherhood. Because again, it's my number 1 role on earth.
Right.
And when you take it that serious, how can you not be good at it? Anything that you are so invested in, you know how phenomenal you're going to be. I'm in charge of another human being's life. Guys, take that in for a second. As a parent, you are in charge of another human being's existence until they become an adult.
Yes.
That is a powerful gift that God gave us.
Yes, sir.
And we don't think about it. We don't give a damn about it. Or we put it off on mothers.
Yes.
And we know how powerful. I remember, because I always went to Anaya's grade school, grade pickup days. Mm-hmm. And at first when I used to go, I would see maybe 2 or 3 other men there picking up their kids' grades. But I saw mamas galore. Mm-hmm. When I got divorced, I still went to go and pick up my daughter's grades. So the school had to have 2 copies, one for mom and one for me. Mm-hmm. And then I saw this wonderful thing start happening. I saw a lot of dads. Mm-hmm. I saw a lot of dads showing up on report card day. Mm-hmm. You know? Yes. So that's what I'm saying. When you invest in what you think is or feel is important, how can they not be powerful? Guys, my daughter's going to be a doctor in 7 more years. And the reason why that stands out to me, because I'm a guy from the hood, 76 in Essex, Tarrytown. I'm from the hood, and now in less than a decade, my child is going to be a doctor.
That's right.
I ain't supposed to have, I'm divorced, guys. I don't have a wife in this house with me.
Right.
But me and my daughter worked it out. When my daughter turned 12 years old, I said, Anaya, get in that kitchen. But you're going to start learning how to cook.
That's right.
And she was like, Daddy, what I got to cook for? Because I'm a girl? I said, yeah. Yeah. Because I want a son-in-law and I want grandbabies.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. Tell it like it is, brother.
And now my daughter could cook like she work at a restaurant.
Yes.
And she likes it. She likes hearing Daddy like, God, this chicken tastes good. Right. She gets the biggest smile on her face.
And they should. They should. We
absolutely.
The mentoring program we run, we are always pushing this on. We got young kids, 10, man, cooking whole meals, man. Like we challenge the parents, right, to make sure and give them teach them at least one thing, right? And then in here is Good Fathers Only members, right? So not only are they military men, they both are Good Fathers Only members, right? And we, right, Dave is an unbelievable father. Boog is an unbelievable father, right? So we're always sharing and resonating in our fight to be dads, right? Because, society is conditioned. Man, come on, man. I know you got at least one story where they ain't even think you was, who are you? You know what I mean? Because we've all experienced how people saw fatherhood in a form of, it's just like I played the little excerpt from Dr. David Pate. He was like, society don't even see us as fathers.
Right. Man, listen, I remember when my daughter was a newborn and I lived in a high-rise building and it had a park across the street. It was a Saturday morning. I was getting ready to take her to the park. So these women were like, "Oh, you're babysitting today?" I said, "Babysitting?
Oh, yeah.
I'm parenting. I'm raising, man."
Right.
What?
Yeah.
Then I remember when my daughter had to go to a doctor's, I had to take her to urgent care. And this was a smack in the face, but I understood it. The intake person, she was like, "What's your name?" I said, "I'm Khalid Scott." "Well, what's your daughter's name?" I said, "Anaya." So she looked up at me. I said, "Anaya, Anayah." She said, "Right, sir. What's your daughter's last name?" I said, "It's Scott. Why are you asking me that?" I said, "My name is Khalid Scott." She said, "Sir, I don't get kids with their daddy's last name."
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, man. Hey, look here. Look here. My last name is outstanding. You hear me? It's man. Right? The DNA and the lineage of man's, right, is deep. I tell this story all the time. Out of my grandparents, I don't know if you saw the Put Your Family First video. I'll send it to you. Okay. Out of that one house came 216 bodies.
Wow.
The house is still in the family. If some of these people got fortunate to get this man seed. Right? If you get a man, baby, you gotta, that's how, I'm like you know what I mean? Like, you gotta have that, And so, but go ahead and share another solution.
Right. So, again, it's we have to understand that from day one, when our child is born, they have to see the investment coming from daddy. I remember I do marriage therapy at my private practice. So I had a couple come in. They have a 2-year-old, and they've been fighting because she's a stay-at-home mom, and he works and he's in school. So the complaint was, man, she wants me to come home, take the baby, give the baby a bath, feed the baby, and I've been at work all day, and she's been at home all day. I mean, how unrealistic is that? So then I looked at the husband and I said, "What's wrong with you, sir?" And he said, "Well, Mr. Scott, what do you mean?" I said, "Sir, I work 2 jobs, and every day I would rush, do 70 miles an hour on that expressway so I could get home to Anaya. I ran up in the house, took off my clothes, put on my PJs, washed my hands, washed my face, and grabbed my baby for the rest of the evening because my wife had all day to bond with her.
Yep.
I only got 3 hours before I have to go to bed to bond with her, and I'm gonna get it all in. And he's like, "Mr. Scott, I never thought of it like that." Right,
exactly.
Because men are not conditioned to think like that.
Yeah.
Let mama deal with it. I'm the one that took my daughter to doctor's appointments. I took her to her recital practices as well. Because it's the impact you leave on your kid. My daughter got to high school, and so she had friends who didn't have participatory dads. So when her friends would tell them stories, my daughter literally said, "Daddy, I would sit there and look at them, but I didn't know how to. I didn't know how to relate to them
Right.
because I don't know what it means not to look in the audience and not see you there, embarrassing me, yelling out my name.
Right.
I don't know what it means not to have you every day in my life.
Right.
So I did my best to show my friends empathy, but Daddy, I don't know what that feels like."
Right.
And that was the best compliment I ever got as a dad. That
But
was the best compliment.
one of our quotes is, and Dave, if you got a question or something, this is the time to speak. But if one of our biggest quotes that encouraged me, I'm young, that we use is, "Mom, Dad, you can make all the money in the world, but you just can't make up time.
There you go.
You can't get that time back."
Absolutely.
And you know, and here, sitting on a fatherhood policy group, we thumping. We got to get rid of that every other weekend. That's 38 hours. Man needs more time with his kids.
Sir.
Man,
Sir.
every other weekend. Every other weekend is not getting it. It's not cultivating. It's not successful, and
Absolutely not.
it's really creating an even more dynamic because it causes some unnecessary pain for two people.
Absolutely.
The father who wants to be involved, or the mother who wants to be involved, or the other parent, right? However it go, because we see cases where the mom can't see the kids, where the father is acting like that, or the mom, right? But we get a lot of cases where we see the man has to fight, right? As soon as he decides to split up or divorce, he got to fight. He got to fight for every inch, like, for real. And in some cases you don't. Just depend on the relationship and the communication with the mom, right? And making sure that we do so. I was just saying, I was sharing this one too, Khalid, that if we were smart, we wouldn't put the money into the child support system. There are 41 million children in the child support system.
Yes, sir.
Right. And so we wouldn't put the money in the child support system. Why wouldn't we put it in a joint account? Something that we could see grow and use the money, right, to invest, to grow the money for the child for when the child is 18, right? And we were, with my oldest son and his mom, right, we were figuring out the co-parenting the whole way, right? But now hindsight is 2020. I recommend that to everybody. We did a great job. Literally, we was at basketball tournaments, all of that, co-parenting. Right. We did it. You know what I mean? Right to he graduated, right till he got married. He just got married, my oldest son, and we was right there, and we gave each other a pound. We did it. You know what I mean? he gone. You know what I mean? And against all odds, and that's just one of those things. Anybody got anything they like to add before I go into my beautiful spiel for Brother Khalid?
No, I just want to thank you, Dr. Scott. What you presented was just amazing, and it's a story that I could say that every human being is a walking book with different chapters, and your first few chapters develop the middle of the story and is moving forward to the future of the story. And we can see the end results of it right now with your daughter. And you have set a standard that, I'm sure you understand this from the military. You get to know one, you do one, you teach one, and you have emulated that excellently. So I just want to say thank you. I'm humbled.
Mr. Patterson, thank you for that. Now, you just made my entire week, sir. I appreciate it. It's something about when another man compliments you,
Oh, yeah, that's what we do.
That comes from a sincere place.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you for your service, too.
Yeah.
I got a question.
Thank you. Absolutely.
Go for it.
So I'm in a situation where I'm having issue with my daughter's mother, and the biggest issue that I'm having is trying to reconcile some of the things that she's done to me that I'm not too fond of. How do I as a father really get to a place where we can get back to where we can work together?
Okay. Now, are you still a couple with her?
No, I'm married now. That's part of the reason why I have issues.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, the thing that helped me out with my ex-wife was this. I had to stop looking at her from the ex-husband lens. I had to look at her with the clinician lens. So if she was my client, how would I view her? And that did it for me. My ex-wife grew up with a mom who was an alcoholic, and her dad died when she was a young girl. So she had to learn to navigate this world taking care of herself. So when she got married to somebody like me and had a baby, and my expectation was you're going to be that wife and that mother, she wasn't. She didn't know that because she grew up having to fend for herself because, wow, mama was in that bottle. And once I understood what her limitations were, and then the biggest part was when I got divorced, I had to evaluate what part did I play on the destruction of the marriage. Because it's so easy for us men to be like, it's her fault, it's her fault, it's her fault. You stay prisoner when you do that. When you look in that mirror butt naked and say, what did I do wrong? Own it. That's when your healing starts. And once you're healed, you're a better person. And then you'll have the best relationship with them. And always let her know it's about our child. On your worst day, you gave me the greatest gift. So I'm going to always value you. Always. And then also too, brother, you moved on. Women have this thing, because I grew up with all women. They have this thing was, why wasn't I good enough?
Right, that's right.
What I gave you a kid, what did she give you? So she got that in the back of her mind. I don't even care if she's remarried. She thinking about you like that. You know what I'm saying? So again, don't look at her as my child's mom all the time. Look at her if you was her therapist. And then that'll give you some insight on how you need to work, how you need to navigate her. And then when your child starts seeing a positive relationship, if your child sees you doing right by her mama continuously, that's your child is going to respect you even more. Because she'll say like, wait a minute, mama, you treated daddy nasty, but daddy treats you queenly like. Because kids pick up on everything.
Everything. I had to tell mine I get on the phone, they want to talk about we're not getting ready to spend that time talking about your mama. We're not gonna do that. So, Brother Scott, if you could
appreciate that.
You got it.
If you can tell the people where they can reach you at.
Sure. I'm on all social media outlets, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram, Khalid Scott. I'm also on www.psychologytoday.com. If anyone wants to make a referral for counseling services, and my number is 312-43-SCOTT, SCOTT, 312-43-SCOTT.
So at this time, we come to the conclusion. Brother Scott, we really appreciate you, man. We got to do this again, as well as I'm going to need that picture and that sweet shirt you got so we can blast that all over social media. Right, keep that branding going. Yes, sir. And at this point, we understand that what has taken place here today, for those of you who are not familiar with METV, we always find ourselves in these situations and conversations to share multiple solutions so we can be better as parents, right? Because ultimately it comes down to the fact of healthy decisions helping to raise healthy children. And in that situation, it really takes us having a conversation that is very inclusive of fatherhood. There are too many rooms we walk in and too many spaces where we talk, where we do not hear the father is valued. Early education. We had a whole conversation on early education today, and it didn't include fatherhood solutions. I was on the phone interview with David Pate the other day. He said, man, we have to begin to surround fathers with the whole wraparound service and not let fathers be expected to be something that they're not taught to be.
Absolutely.
Right? You know, and so here we are talking to Khalid Scott, and he's sharing all these jewels, right? And I think it came clear exactly what is important to him. And we truly appreciate his time. And it's like everything we do here. Everything we do here is to the restoration of family. So, in the words of Khalid Scott, put your family first. My name is Calvin Mann.
Amen.
Encourage me. I'm young.
Thanks for having me, guys.
It's
Yes,
an
sir.
honor.
Yes,
An honor.
thank you.
Yes.
Part of my life.